Studies show that happiness peaks 2 times in our lives. In our 20s, then again later in life in our 60s. Let's have a conversation about that. But first, I'm Ronnie, and this channel is dedicated to living a resilient life, especially in the areas of health, finance, retirement, as well as general life advice. And my message here is simple. The best investment that you can make is in yourself. And I'd like to thank you for stopping by. So again, studies show that our happiness peaks 2 times in our lives. That is, in our 20s and then again later in life in our 60s. And here's why. When we're in our 20s, you've just graduated out of college, or you've just landed your first big job, or you just got married and you're now starting a family, or all of those things are happening to you all at once. And it's a very happy and exciting time of life. Plus, your entire future is still out there in front of you with all of your hopes and dreams still yet to be realized. And then you enter into your working years. And then when you reach your 60s, your happiness peaks again because by now you're older and much wiser. You have gained a ton of life experience. You now have money, or at least you have a certain level of financial security. You're done with working, and most importantly of all, you begin a reorientation of your life. These are the 2 times in life in which happiness peaks. When we're in our 20s, and then again in our 60s, at the beginning and then right there towards the end. Now, let me state the obvious. If you have a peak of happiness here and a peak of happiness here, there is a midlife dip in between. Now, this is called the U-shaped happiness curve. The U-shaped happiness curve. Now, these are not unhappy years. They are happy years. This is when you're working, you're getting married, starting a family, buying a house, raising the kids. You've got ball games to go to. There's family vacations. You take family pictures. There's shared family experiences. You're getting pay raises. You're moving up the ladder, so forth and so on. And these are, even though it's a dip, these are happy years. But they can also be very stressful years as well. You have the daily grind. There's financial pressure. You bought that wonderful house and we're so happy to get into it, but now you're 15 years in and you're still struggling with the mortgage payment. And if your family is like anybody else's family, there's family problems along the way, maybe relationship problems. Then, of course, there is the 7-year itch in marriage. And let's not forget the midlife crisis. I can remember my wife saying to me when I was in my upper 40s, Ronnie, if you want to be able to survive midlife crisis, there better not be any crisis at our house. Well, this U-shaped dip of happiness doesn't mean that these are unhappy years in our life. They are happy years, but it just means that happiness peaks at 2 separate times. Our happiness peaks at the beginning and our happiness peaks again at the end. We're happy in here in the middle, but the peaks are at the beginning and at the end. Now today, I want to focus on that second peak when we get into our 60s and share with you 6 reasons why our happiness peaks for a second time when we get into our 60s. And just by going through these things, it might help you better plan and prepare for your time of retirement when you reach that phase of your life. Number 1, when we get into our 60s, you have more time to focus on what truly matters the most to you. When we reach our 60s, this is the time for leisure activities, prioritizing yourself, being more involved with family or key relationships in your life. This is a time of life in which you stop sweating the small stuff and you enjoy your newfound freedom and independence. It really is a gift that just comes to you. The most surprising thing to me is that I made this discovery of the second peak of happiness on my own through personal experience, even before I read about these studies. And I've shared it at least a couple times here on my channel, but let me very quickly restate it again. I got married here in my 20s, and then I retired about 40-something years later whenever I was in my 60s. Now, everything in between represents my working years. And there is nothing in between during that 40-year working span that compares to my retirement or being in my 60s. Not even close. No awards, successes, achievements, accomplishments, medals, diplomas, degrees, or recognition from my peers even compares to being retired in this phase of my life. Getting married, having children, raising my family, journeying through life together with them was the greatest thing that I ever accomplished and the greatest source of my happiness. And the second greatest source of happiness that I've experienced is being in my 60s and being retired and being done with it all. Nothing in between compares. It's greater than my experiences in the United States Army, the travel, the things that I did, and the medals that I was awarded. It's greater than my time working at Westinghouse Electric Corporation. It's greater than anything that I accomplished during my working years. And when you reach your 60s and you pull the trigger and you retire and you get into that phase of your life, you too are going to find out that this is going to be one of the happiest phases of your life. So there's good reason why our happiness peaks in our 60s. Number two, another reason that it peaks is because we have the financial means to be comfortable. Now, having a certain baseline of money does bring a certain level of happiness. And here's why. Once a certain baseline of money has been achieved so that your needs are met, you're comfortable, independent, and you have a little bit of disposable income, this is a sweet spot for enjoying your golden years. By having financial means, it reduces your financial stress, provides you with a safety net, increases your choices, as well as your personal freedoms. For most people, the things in life that give us the most stress on a day-by-day basis almost always are things that can be greatly improved or completely resolved by having a certain level of money. For instance, going to the dentist or not, taking your dog to the vet or not, being able to pay for your health care, driving a safe, reliable car and having reliable transportation, or being able to buy good healthy food without having to worry about the price of broccoli. So let me encourage you to save, plan, and prepare yourself for your 60s and retirement just as diligently as you prepared yourself for entering the workforce 40 years ago, so that when you do get into your 60s and the years beyond, it can be one of the happiest times of your life. Number three, another reason is that when we get into our 60s, we discover that happiness really isn't found in accumulating more material things. It's learning to be content with the things that we already have. When we reach our 60s, most of us are done with consumerism, having a house full of clutter, or giving in to the urge all the time to go out and buy things because it feels good for the moment. Instead, we're content with the things that we already have, preferring to live a simple life that's filled with calm and peace. The point is, when you're no longer focused on buying and accumulating things, you can focus on doing things, which are usually more fulfilling anyway. The kind of things that bring you a deeper sense of fulfillment and contentment, such as enjoying the safety and the comfort of your paid-off home, spending time with your grandchildren, enjoying the great outdoors, taking pictures in nature and wildlife, spending time on the water, or simply volunteering your time to be able to help other people. These kind of experiences are very rewarding, and they don't require you to open up your wallet to be able to do it. Number four, another reason that contributes to the peak of happiness in our 60s is that we learn to appreciate and value the little things. As we age, the things that bring us the most joy become simpler. The grandiose experiences we once sought out may no longer hold the same allure for us. Instead, we find happiness in the little things, the kind of things that in our youth we tended to overlook or take for granted. For instance, enjoying a cup of coffee in the morning while enjoying slow mornings. The contentment of spending time with your loved ones at a leisurely pace, or just watching birds at the feeder. These small moments become the treasures of life, and generally speaking, they're free. That's the beauty of slow living in your 60s. You begin to see the value of things that don't have a price tag attached to it. And this could mean anything from gardening to revisiting an old hobby of yours, reading a novel, catching up when you're reading, taking daily walks through the park, meeting new people, making new friends, and doing acts of kindness for other people or whatever. The point is, when you remove the distraction of overconsumption, you create space in your life for these simple joys, and they sustain you far longer than any material things or material possessions ever could. Number 5, another reason that our happiness peaks in our 60s is because we experience financial freedom through simplicity. One of the biggest advantages of living a simple life in your 60s and beyond is the financial freedom that it brings. When you stop buying stuff you don't need, it frees up money to be used for things that truly matter. Whether that's travel or going to see your family, investing in your health, or simply building a financial cushion beneath yourself for the peace of mind that it can bring to you in your later years. Instead of working to maintain a lifestyle based upon consumption, you can focus instead upon enjoying the fruit of your labors that you've accumulated through all of those working years and the things that bring you true joy. You might even find that you need less income in your 60s than you thought that you were going to need to be able to live a happy and fulfilling life. Now, that was an amazing discovery for me. It's been true in my case. When I retired and pulled the trigger and got into my 60s and retirement life, what a wonderful surprise. It was a pleasant surprise to find out that I didn't need near as much income or money as I thought that I was going to need. By slowing down, reducing my consumption, being debt-free, holy cow, my expenses went down, but my happiness level and quality of life went up tenfold. Exponentially it went up. And if you have reached your 60s and you've experienced that same thing, that it takes a lot less money to live off of while enjoying a much better life, leave me a comment down below, because I, and as well as the other viewers, would love to read your story. Number 6, another reason that our happiness peaks again in our 60s is because we get to prioritize our health and our well-being again. Now, for most of our working lives, we lived in a working environment in which production was emphasized. You were expected to be productive. You had to produce. It was all about production, production, production. We were expected to be crushing it all the time, often at the expense of our health. But as we get older, our health becomes the most important aspect of our lives. And by slowing down, we make room in our lives for rest and self-care. Again, the best investment that you can make is in yourself. When we slow down, we give ourselves time to truly listen to our body and what's going on the inside. Instead of pushing ourselves to the brink for the sake of just maintaining a busy schedule, we can focus on staying active in a more healthy manner. And not only that, for many people in their 60s, when they make this shift to a deeper connection with themselves and their health, they also make a deeper connection with nature. Studies show that connecting with the natural world around us has immense health benefits for us, such as reducing stress, lowering our blood pressure, and improving our mental clarity. Now, by taking care of ourselves in this way, we can enjoy a better and higher quality of life both now, in our 60s, and in the years to come. Well, that's all for now. I'm curious to hear your thoughts and opinions about why our happiness peaks for a second time in our 60s. So leave me a comment down below. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It'll help me out, and feel free to subscribe. You can also share this video with others who you think might benefit from it. I'm Ronnie. Take care, and we will see you next time.